Well, we'll start the next chapter, chapter 5 of Poetics. Chapter 5 is of what? The rise of comedy and epic compared with tragedy. So you have seen that this chapter has also two portions. First one is of what? The rise of comedy, and another one is a comparison between the what? Comparison between epic and tragedy. But you must remember that the comparison is incomplete in this chapter. To compare it, we must go to the chapter 26 as well. Today we are not going to the chapter 26, but you must remember that here of what he discussed and the few notions, few characteristics of epic and tragedy. Okay? Okay. Rise of comedy. As I have mentioned, I have remarked. I mean support Aristotle. As I have remarked, comedy represents the worst type of man. Worst type of man. So not the good man can be the protagonist or the what? Main character of a comedy. What type of character must be there? Worst type of character. However, not in the sense that it embraces any and every kind of badness. Every kind of badness. But in the sense that the ridiculous is a species of ugliness or badness. So what does it mean? Its intention is not to what? Humiliate something. Rather, it tries to what? Highlight the bad activities, the bad nature of a human being. To highlight the problems of the society. Okay, where the problem lies. Reduce it, and there will be a solution, there will be an indication of what, in which way you can reduce your problem. One thing I frequently mention that a man who makes some crime, evil activities, who are involved in evil activities, if he or she knows this is bad, they may not what? Do it to some extent. So if anyone indicates that this is your bad qualities, and in this way you can what overcome the problem, reduce it, what's happened? He or she may be changed his or her life or attitude. Okay, this is the main intention of the comedy. Okay, not to humiliate anyone. For the ridiculous consists in some form of error or ugliness that is not painful or injurious. So you have seen that. So intention is not to explore the ugliness of someone else. For what reason? To give him pain or to give him injurious. You cannot make someone injurious with the painful. Your intention is what? To make him correct. To make him correct. But in our society, as a result, you have seen that. As a result, what's happened? Whenever a slum lady quarrels with another one and they are using a number of slang words, these are not what considered as a satire. Because of what? They are direct attack. Their intention is to injure something else. But in comedy, your intention, what should be? Your intention must be to correct someone else, not to make them painful or injurious or hurt anyone else. Got my point? Okay, for example, is distorted or ugly but causes no pain. Now we know something of our successive stages by which tragedy developed and of those who were responsible for them. The early history of comedy is obscure because it is not taken seriously. In which way? As in the previous chapter we have seen that when and how a tragedy has been developed, but it is obscure to identify when it started and how it started. Because what? The critics at first didn't take it seriously. Later on they could understand the importance of comedy. That's why he mentioned that it is obscure when it started and how it had been started developing. It was a long time before the Archeon granted a chorus of comedies until then the what? Performers were volunteers. Comedy had already acquired what? Certain clear-cut forms before there is any mention of those who are named as its poets. Nor is it known who introduced must or prologues or plurality of actors and other things of the kind. Properly worked out plots originated in Sicily with what? Epicurmus and Formis of Athenian poets. Cretes was the first to discard the Lampon pattern and to adopt the stories, plots of a more general nature. The name which we have mentioned that they have actually developed into wise what? Comedy as well. Okay, epic poetry. So this is what? This is all about the rise of comedy. This is all about rise of comedy. Next part is of what? The comparison between epic and tragedy. Okay. So what is the rise of the comedy? We can present its intention, why it has been introduced, and what is the function of it, to whom actually it is going to highlight. Its intention is what? Not to make anyone painful or the hard anyone, but of what? But to make them correct, focusing the problems or the evil activities. Okay. And we have already known that, we have already been informed that is of what? When and how epic has what? Developed or changed. It is ambiguous because at the very first time the critic may not have taken it seriously. Now let us to discuss the similarities and dissimilarities or the comparison of what? Compared with tragedy and epic. Epic poetry agrees with tragedy to the extent that it is represented more interesting. According to Aristotle, what tragedy is, it is not discussed in details yet. Have you noticed it? In details it is not. In the next chapter, chapter 6, we will see that he describes what tragedy is, what should be the functions, what should be the elements, components of tragedy. So, what? Just keep it in mind. Whenever we go to the next chapter, in that time it must be used. At the same time, I have mentioned that the comparison between epic and tragedy, it is not completed here. We have to go where? We have to go to the chapter 26 as well, okay, to understand it. Epic poetry agrees with tragedy to the extent that it is a representation in dignified words or serious actions. I mean, so what? These are the similarities. What? Both are representation of what? Dignified words as well as of some serious action. They differ in that epic gives to a single meter and is in narrative form. Obviously, epic is a narrative because it's a poem, whereas tragedy is a drama. It is not it must be represented through the action, not in narration. Okay. Another point of difference is there. Length. Length is one of the factors. Just tell them there. There is a class. Another point of the difference is what? Their length. Their length. Length is also important to understand. What? Tragedy tries of what? Tries as far as possible to keep, quote unquote, always you must remember it. Tragedy tries as far as possible to keep within a single revolution of the sun. Within a single revolution of the sun. Or only slightly to exceed it. What does it mean that? You have heard already as students of English literature, there are three unities: unit of action, unit of time, and unit of place. Unit of time is of what? That tragedy must be ended or completed within single revolution of the sun. What does it? Within 24 hours. Or to some extent it can be allowed. I mean, so what? 25, 26, 27 hours or less than that. But it should not cover up what? It should not take more than that. I mean, so not more than 24 hours in average. Okay? An example we can give that. We can present here, that is Riders to the Sea. You have seen that Riders to the Sea starts when? At the very early morning and it ends just after the sunset. I mean, within single revolutions and within 12 hours it has been completed. So this is the perfect time according to Aristotle. That's why he mentioned that. Again I am telling the lines. What? Tragedy tries as far as possible to keep within a single revolution of the sun, or only slightly to exceed it, whereas the epic observes no limits in its time of action. Although at first the practice in this respect was the same in tragedy as in epic, of the constituent part some other. So in case of epic, you have seen that the time is not a factor. It can cover more than 100 years or a man's life, okay? A man's life. So it is another difference. Another is a word of constituent part. Some are common to both kinds and some are peculiar to tragedy. Thus anyone who can discriminate between what is good and what is bad in tragedy can do the same with epic. For all the elements of the epic are found in tragedy, though not everything that belongs to tragedy is to be found in epic. What does it mean? Can anyone explain these lines?
All the elements of epic are presented in tragedy.
In tragedy, you will find it. Yes, thank you. Then.
But we cannot find everything in epic which we have in tragedy.
Yes, I can make one thing from your school experience. In your school life, you may have read in the religion book.
Yes.
All the Rasuls are Nabi. All the Nabis cannot be Rasuls. Similarly, all the tragedy, all the
can be
presented in
tragedy.
But all the characteristics of tragedy cannot be found in epic. Okay. Now let us discuss.
Can we say the short form of tragedy?
No, these are the different things, but there are to some extent these are the similarities. Okay. To some extent we have seen the tragedy. Has more than that. So you have seen that the rise of comedy. That's why the image is here. So it also makes up what? Outbursting love expresses to the face. Yeah, it's a comedy. What does it mean that? I mean, the comedy always tries to what? Expresses such a way. So comedy deals with people worse than ourselves, and saying that comedy deals with the ridiculous of what? Ridiculous of the problems, evil activities. Okay. Aristotle defines the ridiculous as a kind of ugliness, badness, bad things, okay? That does not human to anybody else. In Bangla, you can hear a harm. In Bangla, you can what? You can listen to a music that Paap ke ghina karo, papi ke no. What does it mean that? When you will what? Hate something else, then in time what's happened?
When we will hate the sinner.
Sinner means the ugliness, not the sinner, not the person, but the ugliness. Okay. Aristotle is able to only to give a very sketchy account of the origins of comedy, because it was not generally treated with the same respect as tragedy, and so there are fewer records of the invocation that led to its present form. Comedy is the imitation of man worse than the average. But Aristotle makes it clear, not worse in each and every respect. To some extent it is worse. Okay. What are they? They are only worse in the sense of the ridiculous. The characters are not merely worse. They are not evil. The characters are not evil. What are the evil? Their activities, their nature. Okay? Jashim, have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So this is the basic thing. It means of what? Paap ke ghina karo, papi ke no. I mean of what? You must ridicule. You must hurt the activities of him, not the person. You cannot hurt the person at all. Aristotle considers the ridiculous as a species of the ugly, but it is not a painful or destructive ugliness. It is a defect or the shortcoming which produce laughter. Okay. Then of what Aristotle does not give the stages in the development of comedy. Why? I have already mentioned that at the very beginning the critics may not have taken it seriously. As a result, it is of what? It is a ambiguous. In Poetics we have seen that he says that it is very ambiguous, obscure. According to Aristotle, it is obscure. Why? Very early time the critics may not have taken it seriously. So now the last part, that is of what? The difference between epic and tragedy. What are the differences? You have seen that epic poetry agrees with the tragedy to the extent what? It is an imitation of serious subjects in a grand kind of verse. It differs for which one. In that it is in one kind of verse and in narrative form. Second, because we have already mentioned that a tragedy is not a narrative form, it's an form of action. Whereas epic is a form of narration. Okay. In the lens, tragedy always tries to complete within a single revolution of the sun, or within, to some extent it is allowed. I mean, so what? Within 24 hours or near about it, you must complete it. Whereas in case of the lens, we have seen that in what comedy, there is no limitation. It can be it can be covered, or it can take more than a man's life, 100 years. Okay? It doesn't matter. Third one, in their constituents, some being common to both and others peculiar to tragedy. Other peculiar to tragedy. What are the peculiar? As a result, and finally we have seen that he mentioned that all the characteristics of epic you will get where? In tragedy. But all the characteristics of tragedy you cannot find in epic. Okay? So this is actually views. That is what epic is less vulgar. Vulgar means of what? Unrestrained and uneducated and then in case of tragedy, first one is tragedy requires more skills, whereas epic are not performed, not spectacle. Here what's happened? Compact, limited time, briefly, and more vulgar. It can be of what? Read. Obviously, it's a poem. It can be read. It cannot be acted. Whereas written in brief, important, and precise. And another one is of what? It is written in the 12 words and cantos. I mean, in epic, each and every one is called up cantos. As you have read already, the Rape of the Lock, though it is a mock epic, you have seen that there are 5 cantos. Okay, I mean, so each and every segmentation is called up what? Cantos. Whereas in tragedy, it is called up what? Act, scene, act, especially act. Okay, and epic has no time limited. Whereas what?
Sir,
yes, please.
what is the difference between stanzas and cantos?
Stanza and cantos. Stanza is a portion of the poem. Okay. In canto there are number of stanzas. A segmentation apart. In a canto there may have what? Lot of stanzas. In Rape of the Lock you have seen that there are 5 cantos, but each and every canto has a number of what? Stanzas. Stanzas means of what? Few lines which are used together and express a single idea, whereas a canto it's a part of the what? Epic or a epic, and it has an individual section. For example, you can compare it with the act of a drama. Okay, then
Any question, just ask.
any questions, just ask. Relax, and if you have any question you can ask me. Any question, please? It's very interesting. Yeah, amazing. And he becomes speechless after seeing it. Anyone, any question? No question? So I think you have understood today 2 chapters. First chapter 4 and chapter 5. These are the links I will give you today, okay? So another thing. Just the first one is of what? The origin of poetry and the same development of poetry. The chapter 5 is of what?
Rise of comedy.
Rise of comedy and what the differences between poetry and epic. Okay.
Epic and tragedy.
Tragedy and epic.
Yes.
Epic and tragedy.
So thank you everyone today, and